Welcome to Fanning Out, a podcast where we dig into our fandom. I'm Valerie Gritch, a independent fan study scholar who wants to share our interests and examine why we feel the way we do about them. Basically, why does that thing matter to you and why should it matter to everyone else too? This episode, I'm joined by Rachel. Please introduce yourself.
I am Rachel Overlay. I live in the wonderful desert city that is Las Vegas, and we are chatting about Route 66 today because I have a slight obsession with it.
And this, to clarify, Route 66, the actual road, not
Yeah,
the 1960s TV show, right?
which I have never seen.
I didn't even know it existed until like yesterday when I was doing some recon research about Route 66. I was like, what? Um,
It's out there. I know nothing about it, but I know it exists.
yes. Um, that's fine. The road is more important anyway.
I think so.
Yeah. So why don't you give us some history about the road and yourself and how the two intersect?
Oh boy. To start this off, I just completed a full 2 week Route 66 trip about a week ago. So I am fresh off the road, so to speak. I was asked many times along the way where my fascination for it came from, and I kind of shrugged. It's like, I don't know. It feels like it's just existed for a long time. Um, I grew up in a Route 66 town in Barstow, California. That is my hometown. And no one there really cares about the 66, so I don't know what generated my interest. But the 66 this year, it started in 1926, was the start of the route itself. So 2026 is the 100-year anniversary. So I've known for a long time I was planning to do the whole thing in one go in 2026, hence the road trip I just recently completed. The 66 was decommissioned decades ago, I think before I was even born. So it hasn't been like an actual route that you'll find on your maps for a long time, which can make it a little tricky to follow. The 66 is wonderful because it passes through a lot of small towns, basically from Chicago all the way down to LA. And it was bypassed by Interstate 40 primarily. When the interstate system really kind of came to be, the 66 started dwindling into nothing. A lot of these towns either ceased to exist or significantly shrunk. They lost a lot of business because people were hopping on the interstate to make a quicker path from point A to point B, right? But the fun of a road trip is all the spots you get to stop and see along the way, and all the people you get to meet, and all the quirky roadside attractions that bring people in. I think that's really kind of where my interest started, is with all the fun, weird, random stuff along the route. I love to take photos. It's been a hobby of mine since I was, I don't know, 5 years old and receiving disposable cameras for Christmas. And getting to take photos of weird stuff on the roadside, and especially like decaying Americana kind of stuff, which is, it's sad to see, but it also is fascinating for photography. I think that's really what kind of generated my initial interest. And so that is a lot of what you see on the western portion of the route in particular. Once you hit like New Mexico and you're hitting deserty kind of climates, you just see a lot of things that are withering away slowly in the sand and wind. And I think it's fascinating to photograph. Um, and yeah, once I kind of got into it, I was like, well, I got to do the whole thing at some point. I'm kind of a completionist to a certain extent, and it's a beast to tackle. You're talking almost 2,500 miles worth of road from start to
Wow.
finish, and that's assuming you're not detouring, which you're definitely detouring. So you're hitting that 2,500 mile mark, and there's just so much to see and do. And I don't know, it's a cool thing, and it's not something that you see a lot of younger people checking out. So people were always curious when they'd run into me along the way how I came to be interested, because it's a lot of people from Europe actually who are coming out, Europe and Australia. There's a lot of fascination from people out of country getting the chance to see and experience what they think is this, American road trip, which it is. A lot of Americans just don't actually tour it, and they should, I think.
That is so crazy that it's mostly Europeans and Australians that are doing this trip. I would have never assumed that it
Yeah.
would be. Americans doing this kind of classic American road trip.
Yeah, you'd think. It's a lot of Germans and French in particular. And I remember seeing that. Like I've done some stretches of the 66 up to this point, but I did from California out to Albuquerque back in 2015, I believe.
Mhm.
And there was this group of German motorcyclists that we kept passing, like a group of 20, 30 of them that were all kind of cruising along together. They come out, they rent vehicles, and they're just having the time of their lives. A lot of these businesses will have these giant maps on the wall with push pins. And you'll see a lot within the US, people traveling from within the US, but the vast majority are the Europeans and the Australians. You just see these maps that are full of pins, and there's not room to stick any new ones in there, which is really fun to see.
Yeah. And I'm sure fun to touch, like the topography of it as the pins build up and everything.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
So
and
what were
some of. Oh, go ahead.
your trip highlights? Tell us some exciting things. I know you had some really special moments on the trip.
It's funny because at the end of the trip, we were, I think, at our last night's dinner. My mom and I went to a steakhouse at the very end to wrap it up because it was my mom that I was traveling with. And someone asked, what was your favorite part? And we both looked at each other like, I don't even remember what happened the last 2 weeks. It was such a whirlwind of activities. Um, but there's certain experiences along the way. I think actually so much of the 66 is really the people that you're interacting with along the way. And I
Mhm.
say that as someone who's very introverted. It seems kind of counterintuitive that I go on this road trip and I'm interacting with these, business owners and other people that are traveling the road. And that actually is a big piece of what I enjoy is those small interactions. Um, I really loved getting to experience some stretches of the road I'd never seen before. So Illinois was entirely new to me. Part of Missouri was entirely new, as was the second half of Oklahoma. But Missouri, we were in Springfield, Missouri for our second night of the trip. I was running a half marathon there one morning, so it was kind of we had to overnight there in order for me to go and do that. But there was a spot I wanted to visit that was Ace Neon Sign Company, I believe is the name of the business. And I'd seen these photos of all these cool old neon signs they had on display. I'm particularly fascinated with the art of neon. It's something I would love to get into as a hobby at some point, but it's very hard to get into. There's just not a lot of places that specialize in it. But anytime I'm anywhere that has neon signs on display, especially old restored signs, I love to be able to visit them. And so I knew that this place only offered tours like twice a day during the week. They weren't open on the weekends. But I thought from some of the photos I'd seen, oh, they have outdoor stuff. We can at least swing by. I'll take photos of what's outdoor on our way out of town because it was a Saturday when we were leaving town. And we pulled up, and I didn't realize until we got there that actually anything that's outside is in an enclosed backyard space and
Oh
not
no.
accessible from the parking lot. But there's like three or four cars in the parking lot. And we're like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
And my mom's like, oh, we should go ask them. The door's open. I was like, I'm not gonna go do that. Like I am not that person. And so she decides she's gonna go start talking to one of the guys that's over there. He seems to be kind of like, oh, hey, what are you guys doing? And she says something about, oh, my daughter loves neon. She got married at the Neon Museum in Vegas. She was really hoping to see some stuff. And he's like, oh, we're loading out from a private event. We still got the space for another 7 minutes. So if you want to take your camera and go inside, you've got 7 minutes to take photos. Which was it was such a cool spot. And there was almost no one in there, like two people that were just picking up boxes of stuff and taking them out. And it was just this unexpected thing where I kind of knew I wasn't going to get to have the experience I wanted there. And it turned out I got an even better experience just because someone was like, hey, I got you. Come
Yeah.
on in, check it out. Um, that was a really cool one.
Strangers.
Yeah. And it's just, you got to be open to what's going to happen along the road. I think there's such an interesting group of people that are business owners along the 66, that are fans of the 66, that they want to share their love. And so, I'm so used to growing up in California where, if a building is under construction, you got cool things that are going on inside. you are not allowed anywhere near whatever's going on, right? Like
Yeah.
windows are blacked out. They're like, hey, you're not allowed to be here. There's warning tape up everywhere. But in these small towns, you walk around with a camera and people are like, hey, you want to come take some photos? There was also a motel that I knew was under construction. It was this place called the Shamrock Court. And I believe the last time it was open for business was in the 70s. And this couple bought up the property a few years ago, and they've been doing significant renovations. It opens at the end of May. So I knew it wasn't going to be open while we were there. But they've been doing the renovations. The neon sign is up and operating. I was like, well, let's at least swing by and take some photos.
Yeah.
And I'm just walking around taking some photos. They've got a couple contracts that are out there laying down asphalt and stuff. And one of them comes over and he's like, he starts commenting on my tattoos, just starts conversation. I have never had a contractor just randomly approach me to have small talk before. Um, and after a moment, he's like, hey, you want to come scope out the rooms? We're taking a lunch break right now. So if you want to come see him, like, come see him. Shows me every single room while we're there and he's showing me the rooms. He's like, yeah, Rich, the guy who bought the place and is doing all the renovations, he's going to be swinging by in a few minutes. So if you're still here, you can meet Rich. And then Rich, shows us the office when he shows up. And just all of these interesting moments, these just true, like, I don't know that once in a lifetime is the right word, but these very unique experiences that next time I go down the road, that business is going to be open and operating. There's not going to be a, hey, do you want to peek behind the curtain? And we got a lot of peeks behind the curtain at various places along the way because a lot of businesses are still getting up and running for the summer season.
Mhm.
Um, we just got back a week ago and I'm seeing things that are opening now that weren't open a week and a half ago when we were
Yeah.
there, which is kind of wild. But it's kind of an exciting time to be a part of everything that's going on. And I wish I could go back and do it again in like 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I feel really lucky to have had the chance to do what I did this year. And I look forward to being able to do more of it again in the future.
Were there any other spots that you were really excited to go see?
Yes. Um, there were some that I was excited to go see that we ended up not being able to because of timing.
Mhm.
Because you have no idea how much you're actually going to see
It
in
just
a
feels like
day.
so much.
It was I have well over 1,000 photos that I took on my digital, and then I also shot 8 rolls of film that I'm waiting to get back right now. So like it was busy days.
Yeah.
And our drive time was maybe 3 hours max. Like and that's the not taking the 66, you're hopping on the highways, but like we weren't covering that much distance in any given day. But there were some days where it's every 10 minutes you were getting out of the car to see something. Um, I actually had a spot I was really looking forward to revisiting.
Mhm.
So a few years ago, I had done the stretch between Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Springfield, Missouri. And when I did the stretch from Springfield to Joplin, I was just kind of cruising around. I wasn't planning to drive the 66 that day, actually. I was staying in Joplin for a few days for another half marathon that I was doing. And I had a day that I didn't really have anything planned. And I was like,
Mhm.
I haven't seen this stretch yet. I got nothing else planned today. Let's go ahead and check it out. And I found this place called Gary's Gate Burrito that's in, I believe it's Ash Fork, Missouri. And it's this old service station. There's a lot of old service stations along the 66. Some of them are renovated and operating as gift shops now. Some of them are, falling apart on the side of the road. You get a whole mix of them. And this one is set kind of in front of a house. And it's got all these old signs. They've got like one of those Sinclair dynos out front. I was like, cool, a lot of things to take photos of. Hopped out thinking I'll be here for a few minutes to take photos. And the Gary, the guy who originally ran the place, is no longer around, and the business got passed on to his daughter Barb. And her husband, George, hangs out and mingles with all the people that are coming through and taking photos or coming to see their little gift shop. And so when I got out, he comes out and he's like, hey, let me know if you've got any questions. There's drinks around the corner. They have this patio is not really the right word, but they have this zone set up with picnic tables, with a fridge that's stocked just cold sodas and waters. some snacks available for you to grab. And it's not like, hey, we're charging you $1 for anything. It's just, hey, we're here to take care of the people that are rolling through. So I sat, enjoyed a can of root beer, chatted with him for a good while. He asked, what direction I was heading next. This is one thing that happens anywhere you go on the 66. They ask you where you're from,
Mhm.
and they ask you which direction you're heading or where you're maybe overnighting. And frequently you will get a lot of great recommendations for businesses you should stop and visit, restaurants you should eat at for the night. If you don't already have a place to stay, places you might want to check out. Um, and George was like, hey, you got to go to this motel. I know you're not staying there, but go to this motel, say hi to so and so, check out the property. On your way there, you want to head down this road. You're going to see, this service station and a cool bridge on the side. You got to stop and take photos of that. Um, but the interaction there really stuck with me. And the motel he recommended, I did stop over there just to, say hi, take photos. And the woman was closing up for the night. It was probably about 7:30 or something when I rolled up, and they closed the office at 8 o'clock. And she's like, hey, I just closed up our last check-in for the night. Do you want to see one of the rooms? Sure. Takes me into one of the rooms, shows me there's these paintings on the wall. I do not remember what the paintings were of, but they were paint by number paintings
Oh
that
my,
someone had done years ago, and they had them on display in the rooms. And one of the other things they also had is like, I can't say old school radios, but they are designed to look like old school radios. I think they're probably Bluetooth at this point,
mhm.
but their whole thing is a radio in every room. And so they have these little radios in every room. And when you check into your room, there's music playing, which is just kind of a cool old touch. Um, and so I was like, next time I come through, I'm staying at this spot. And so we stayed at Boots Court Motel this time, and it was a fun little spot. We got a great recommendation for, dinner down the street. Uh, there was a lost dog that randomly showed up while we were there. So my mom and I unexpectedly rescued someone's runaway dog on our way to dinner that night. It's just, you know, the people you meet are such a big piece of the experience. And I was excited to go back to Gary's Gay Burritos, the whole point of the story.
Yeah.
And when we went this time, there were multiple people that were kind of cruising in and out while we were there. We met Barb this time, the woman who inherited the business from her dad. Uh, she sat and told us stories like, hey, sit down. You could tell there was a couple that was there thinking they were stopping by for 5 minutes to buy some gifts and then cruise along, and they were probably there for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. I think that's really my favorite part is even if there were businesses that we missed seeing, there were other businesses where we unexpectedly were hanging out for 45 minutes, an hour, making these real just connections with people that that's what's going to stick with me years down the way is just the people that we met. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave. That's amazing though that they're taking care of you guys, that they're not like charging for any of their refreshments or anything like that, that they just want to welcome you
Hmm.
and make you feel comfortable and at home in their space, but that the community extends beyond just the community of travelers and
Yeah.
that they're recommending these other spots that you have to go check out.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that they're like, you got to go here and you got to do this and you got to see this and you got to say hi to this person. And I think that's so sweet.
It's unlike anything I've experienced traveling elsewhere. I've traveled a lot domestically, internationally. Um, and there's just something it's so interesting to experience things this way because it is such a community and a network of people and because it does expand across 2000 plus miles and you can be somewhere in Missouri or in Illinois and someone's telling you, hey, when you get to Arizona you got to go visit these people at this spot. And like what a cool thing to have. It's I've been to a lot of small towns. I've been to a lot of big cities, and yeah, you get recommendations, but it's just like a hey, I enjoy this restaurant. If you're looking for somewhere to eat, you should go eat here. But
Right.
these are people who truly know each other. We talk to people that, oh yeah, in the off season, a lot of these people will close seasonally, depending where they're located and how much business they may or may not get during like December. And they will go travel other sections of the route during that period of time. And so, they do truly visit each other and keep in contact with each other. Um, there's this guy, Jerry McClanahan, who he's known. I have an old one here. Hold on. He is known for doing these turn by turn directions. These Easy Guide 66. He does all of these. Hey, visit these spots. It's got, whether you're going eastbound or westbound, it's got literal turn by turn directions of what to see, how to get there, so you don't miss all of the various alignments of the 66. And he refreshes this guide every few years. This is my old version. My current one is sitting in my mom's house because I didn't have enough room in my luggage to bring all my stuff home. But he's in Chandler, Oklahoma, and he has an art gallery because he's also an artist and he's writing his own comic book. And, so he's kind of like this interesting historian, artist, knows everyone along the route. And he welcomes people to come by and visit his gallery if you're in the area. And it's literally just an extra building next to his house.
Oh,
So you call or text him and you're like, hey, I'm here. Okay, see you in a few minutes. And stopping and seeing him was fascinating because he does know everyone. You tell him about where you've been, and he tells you about who you need to go meet later on down the road. And if you
yeah.
have a copy of his book, he'll take that copy. And if there's been any changes since that copy's released, he will take out his pen and okay, this is no longer open. You're going to need to hop on the freeway for this portion, or this new thing just opened down the road 2 days ago that you should go check out. He was fascinating to meet and such a wealth of information. So it's just
He
all these
sounds
people.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't imagine having that much knowledge in your head,
Hmm.
like being able to edit your book at the drop of a hat like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure there's a level of, okay, well, people are coming in,
Yeah.
every other day or so. So it's kind of fresh in your mind what to put down there. But he was telling us that there was this giant push pin that's like, it looks like it's made out of stained glass
Mhm.
that had just opened a few miles down the road, like earlier that week. They hadn't done the grand opening yet. It was installed, but they were still doing an official dedication a few days later. And he's
Right.
like, yeah, they didn't even tell anyone. And someone just told me the other day when they came in that this thing showed up. And so there's just so much new information that he's constantly taking in and passing on to people. It's truly a gift that he is providing to people along the road. um yeah, i
That's amazing.
I'm fascinated by all these people. And I think one of the really interesting things too is, we're hitting 100 years this year. And a lot of the people that are running these businesses obviously aren't the original owners. Maybe they inherited something or they came in 30, 40 years along the way. But there's businesses that people are like running out of their homes
Mhm.
that you try and hit as many of them as you can, because the reality is you could take the same drive 2 years later and those businesses might not be there anymore.
Right.
Uh, which, it's sad, but it's the reality of what the route is. There's a lot of things that are being revitalized, and there's things that were open on this trip that haven't been open on prior trips that I've done, which is really cool to see. So there are new things that are opening, but we're definitely starting to see the loss of some of the older businesses that are just people's like giant collections of things in their garages. So
Dave, you're killing me. You got to shut up. Good boy,
how to
Dave.
make a guest experience,
Yes.
or it's rather.
He's just wiggling next to me.
Needs to be involved.
I'm here. I'm here. Um, so you mentioned your suitcase was too full.
Yes.
What kind of trinkets and stuff did you buy?
So I went on this trip knowing I wanted to spend money at every business I possibly could.
Mhm.
I am very well aware that these are small businesses and every purchase makes a difference, right? So whether it's a postcard or a sticker or whatever it may be, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just stopping and taking advantage of these places for their photos, but I was actually putting money back into local businesses.
Yeah.
There were a lot of stickers. I do have like an envelope full of stickers, which might be next to me. Let me see. Um, all my bumper stickers are sitting at my mom's house because those are for another day. They were going to get all bent up in my stuff. This might make a bunch of noise as I'm going through this, but we have literal piles
Huge.
of stickers.
Yeah.
Um, so stickers were an easy one. I was like, if nothing else, because I do plan on scrapbooking this trip. Stickers can go on water bottles, they can go on my laptop, they can go in the scrapbook, they can go on my car. So we did a lot of stickers. I have a handful of magnets. I limited myself to one mug on this trip because I do not have room for more mugs.
Yeah, that's
But it was happening. I got this really cool magnet ornament at Ted Drew's Frozen Custard in St. Louis. Um, so the frozen custard are like your concretes that you can get at any custard place. They're known for, you can hold it upside down and it's
yeah.
not going to fall out, right? So they have this 3D printed ornament that is an upside down concrete, and it's pretty big. It's a pretty hefty size thing. So that is one thing I brought home. What are some of the unique stuff I got? It's at Gary's Gay Parita. There's a local woman they worked with that does these. They did these stuffed dinos. So I have a stuffed dino. It looks kind of like Sinclair Dino or something. So I have that is hanging out in there. I picked up a few pieces of artwork. I find that our living room wall is mostly travel pieces, and some of it is photos I've taken. Others are like, national parks posters and things like that. So I try and be cognizant of it when I'm traveling and intentionally pick up some pieces. So there's one that's of like this cool neon sign that's up by the visitor center in Gallup, New Mexico. There's one that's kind of a watercolorish painting of the outside of an old theater that looks really cool. Um, what else did I grab? There's so many things that I bought that I just cannot even remember what I am bringing home.
While you were doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I just was repacking everything into bags multiple times throughout the trip. We were in a new place every night, right? So every night it's just here's the secondary bag that
Yeah.
is all the miscellaneous trinkets I have purchased, to the point that I'm going to be at my mom's house in a few weeks retrieving everything, and I'm going to remember all over again what I actually purchased since I forgot. I don't know. But yeah, it was anytime I could find something cool. I did actually, there was I don't know if I have it with me. If I do, it would be a funny one to show. When we were at Boots Court Motel, they had a bunch of local artists uh that had things for sale. And there was one, if I have it, it's gonna be in here, that she was just doing like pencil drawings of miscellaneous things. And I saw this one she did of like a screaming goat. Has nothing to do with anything Route 66 related. It was just funny and I needed to have it. Let's see if I can find it in here. It may not be here.
Screaming goats are always funny though.
Oh, oh.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
It's like, where is my screaming goat going to go? I have no idea, but I'm happy to have given it a home.
Yeah.
Um, Also, motel keychains, the retro motel
Yeah.
keys. I probably picked up 4 or 5 keychains along the way. So there was a couple places we were staying overnight that they have the traditional keys in it. So if they had the key tag for the room that we were staying in, I would get that one.
That's
So
cute.
got a collection of those too.
Yeah. And then, am I remembering right from your Instagram that I stalked last night thoroughly?
I
Um,
saw.
I was like, I gotta do my research. Um, you were painting or coloring.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is at my mom's house. But I take on far too many artsy, craftsy hobbies.
Mhm.
And watercolors is something that I had like no prior experience in. But when I was living in Texas a few years ago, I was trying to find something new to help me relax and unwind in the evenings. And I picked up like a watercolor instruction booklet and a set of watercolors and the
Mhm.
watercolor notebooks. And I painted like one thing. And then I set that notebook aside for a long time. And it's been on, I don't do New Year's resolutions, but I kind of set myself goals for the year. So I guess they're resolutions in a way, but it's been like a carryover item on my list for a couple years to actually do more of the watercolors. And so at the beginning of this year, end of last year, I was like, maybe some Route 66 stuff. And so I was looking through photos I'd taken on prior trips and also just some stuff that I Googled that were places I hadn't been before um, to let me find some spots, some notable spots that are hopefully simple enough for me to watercolor. And I will recreate them in watercolor format because I want to take photos of them in front of whatever the space was.
Yeah.
So the blue whale, which I adore the blue whale. I something about a giant blue whale sitting next to a pond in the middle of Oklahoma is just fantastic to me. And I got to visit Blue when I was out there in 2018,
Mhm.
2019. But they've been doing a big renovation with Blue right now. They're doing a grand reopening at the end of this month. They totally took down the pre-existing gift shop, bathrooms, etc. And so they're building bigger, newer, flashier. And so I knew that Blue was going to be behind a fence. So we pulled up and you could not get into the parking lot because it's all full of construction vehicles. And my mom just was parked on the side of the car with her hazards on and out the window. I was taking a photo of my watercolor with Blue in the background. So yeah, I did a series of them. I don't know, 15 maybe of various spots. I made sure I had one, at least one from each state.
Mhm.
There's 8 states you pass through on the 66. The vast majority of mine were Arizona and New Mexico, spots I've been to multiple times. So I have like my own photos for reference, and I maybe have a little bit of connection to some spots. Um, but yeah, that was really fun as well. So, like, in addition to, okay, I've got to take photos of everything, it was also, hey, mom, while we're out today, don't let me forget at this spot and this spot.
Yeah.
I need my watercolor photos too. So, there's a lot of moving parts to
Yeah.
this trip. But it was a fun way to kind of get myself excited leading up to the trip, doing these little watercolors in the evenings while we were watching TV and then getting to see them in person alongside whatever it was that I'd painted. And now I've got. I have to finish the book, right? So I don't know if I'm going to go through and find stuff I visited, but yeah. So
That is so cool though. That's such a fun idea. I love those projects that people take on with like, such and such was filmed here, or this promotional photo from a band.
mhm.
So I love that you are kind of in that vein where it's the painting of the roadside attraction with
Yeah.
the attraction.
Yeah. And I mean that's the thing, right? Like as much as I love meeting the people, it's the
Mhm.
roadside attractions that brought me in initially.
Yeah.
The weirder, the funnier. There's in Arizona between Seligman and Kingman is Giganticus heticus, which is a giant green Easter Island-ish head off on the side of the road. Ridiculous, but fun and unexpected. I can only imagine if you just happen to be driving down this road and you had no idea that that thing was there, and then you
Right.
just see this giant green head. Like, what is going on?
I
Um,
love
but
it.
that's the stuff I love.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned it's the 100th year of Route 66. Um, why else do you think people should look into the road or potentially take a road trip themselves?
I mean, I feel like you can see a big city anytime, right? If I want to go to Chicago and go spend a week in Chicago, there's plenty of stuff to do in Chicago. This trip obviously did start in Chicago. We only spent a night there. But I find that when I'm traveling, the places that I remember the most, the memories that stick with me the most, are the small towns in between. And if you just go somewhere and you're hanging out in the big city, yes, you're going to have a cool experience. You're going to probably eat some great food, maybe see some cool performances of some sort while you're there, have some cool tours that you go on, museums. But hitting those small towns, people are so excited to see you there. That's it's such a unique experience. And I think road trips are kind of a dying breed. This spring was not the greatest time gas price wise to be driving and doing a road trip. Uh, but it was worth it at the end of the day. It's just there's something about interacting with people that are grateful for your business and they're excited to hear about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Um, these places aren't going to be there forever. Like I said, there's places I don't expect to be there a couple years down the road. There's places that were there on prior trips that I've done that aren't there anymore. The landscape of the road is changing. You could go literally every year and you're going to have a different experience every time. Um, and I think that is it's part of why I keep going back.
Mm,
Um, but it's just see it while it's there. You don't want to miss out on that being there, and all you got is big cities and high speed trains and all of that. Take the slow road. Go with a friend, go with a partner, go with a sibling, a parent. I think you're also going to make incredible memories with whoever you're traveling with as well. The first time I did, significant 66 trip when I went out to Albuquerque, I went with my Nana. And she would have been my travel companion for this trip too if she was still around. So getting to do it with my mom instead and having her kind of step into the space that her mom had existed in
yeah,
for me, I think there's so much that traveling can give you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it. I hope people take what you're saying to heart and explore the road and take the slow path, as you said.
It's not about the destination, right?
Yeah, it's 100% not about the destination. It's
Yeah.
about the journey on Route 66.
Hmm. I
Is there anything
concur.
else you wanted to share with us before we close?
I don't know. I think I've rambled a lot about how wonderful the people are and the places. And yeah,
We
I don't
love your
know.
birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you for being with me today, and thank you for tuning in and listening. And I hope you enjoyed this episode.